This week's Economy Matters column is written by Christoph Schumacher, and he joins me now to discuss a bit of reflecting that he's been doing on 2022, the year that was, and perhaps some lessons that we can look forward to in 2023. Hi, Christoph.
Hello. Well, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for joining us. So, obviously, 2022 was an action-packed year. With the value of hindsight, how do you sort of characterize it? What are some of the highlights and lowlights that you've sort of picked out?
Well, the first thing is that the economy was a bit of a roller coaster ride. We saw a drop in the Q1 GDP, then a rise, and now sort of a fall again towards the end. And a lot of it was encouraged by very high inflation that we are experiencing. It was expected that inflation would rise after the stimulus done by the government in terms of quantitative easing of pushing money into the economy. So that was always expected, but we were hoping that inflation wouldn't rise as fast as it actually did. We have seen then the OCR follow suit as the Reserve Bank needed to trying to put a lid on inflation. So this is where it really hurts people that, first of all, inflation makes everything more expensive. Going to the supermarket is now a scary experience because suddenly you see numbers there on the screen that you haven't seen before.
Yeah.
And at the same time, with the rise of the OCR, interest rates have gone up. So you're actually paying more for your mortgages. So it's a double hit. So that was probably the shock of 2022 that people suddenly have a lot less money in their back pocket.
Yeah. And the tight labour market also, has fed into that, and perhaps we'll continue to see that in the coming year as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. It was, I think, for a lot of people, a surprise that the government kept the borders closed for longer than we hoped or expected, and that it's a lot harder to get workers into the country. If we just look at migration rates before COVID hit, if we had gone on the same projection, we would have probably hit 100,000 people more in New Zealand, and of those, about 50,000 would be workers. So effectively, we are short 50,000 people right now, workers in New Zealand, and that has caused all sorts of trouble for companies whose productivity suffered simply because they didn't have enough staff to do the work. And that, of course, resulted in a steep rise of wages. And latest figures actually show that wage increases have outpaced inflation, which was already high.
Mm. Yeah, and the productivity question is an interesting one. We need to find a balance, though, between increasing the productivity and not stimulating the economy too much in prices, right?
Absolutely. And New Zealand, unfortunately, is notoriously low on the productivity scale among the OECD countries. And that is certainly not helped if we now don't have the labor to complete the work. And again, that is the trouble. Economies start to overheat if stimulus is not supported by an increase in supply. So we give people more money. Of course, they go out and spend this money. If then the supply is there to satisfy the demand, then all is good. Growth is driven through extra productivity. But that's not what happened in 2022 in New Zealand. Demand was there, but the supply wasn't. And as a result, the economy heated up and prices went through the roof.
Mm. So, I mean, everyone expects the OCR to continue rising this year. What's your prediction in terms of where it will head?
There's been enough said about this. I think I follow what all the other economists are saying and suggesting it'll be somewhere between 5 and possibly 5.5% for the OCR. So we might see interest rates going up to mortgage rates to up 7.5 or possibly even 8%. So this is where it could go because inflation still hasn't been contained, and I think the Reserve Bank will move the OCR up a bit further to try to control it better.
So we're looking at a recession, aren't we? And do you have any impressions of the length and severity that we might see?
Yes, the recession word has been used quite a few times lately. I certainly believe the economy will slow down, and we're already seeing this right now. The expectation for Q4 was for a drop of quarterly growth, possibly around zero or even slightly negative, and we are expecting this trend to continue into the new year. The question just is that sort of not all recessions are equal. In the case of New Zealand, yes, we will see a slowdown of the economy, but it looks like this is what is actually needed to get back to more sustainable levels. It's never good to run a heated economy for too long. Something has to give. So in this case, expectation is the economy will slow down, so we get more in pair between what the demand and the supply is. We need to get back to a level that our economy can actually supply the goods people want to buy.
Mm. So, in the conclusion of your column, you say that 2023 will be okay. Um, what what makes you say that? I suppose, and what and just okay, or how do you think it will end up?
What I try to say is that yes, a recession is never a good thing, a nice thing. We need to tighten the belt. It will create some hardship for people, especially those who have high debt to income ratios with a higher OCR. Your mortgages will become more expensive, but at the same time, I try to say it's not going to be too severe. In my view, it'll be more a readjustment, similar to what possibly we've seen in the housing market. Our house prices went through the roof. Now they are falling. Is it a good thing, a bad thing? Well, for some people, it'll be a bad thing, but essentially, we are just readjusting to where prices should sit. So I don't think it will be a severe recession, like those words. But yes, it will bring some hardship. But as I said, it will be okay. It won't be a fantastic year, but it won't be a terrible year either. And overall, New Zealand is actually doing okay. If we look towards Europe or the US, where inflation is hitting double figures, where they have energy crisis problems, restrictions, and so on. I think life in New Zealand will still be okay. Yes, there will be hardship. It won't be an easy year, but we'll get through.
Oh, it's good to hear some optimism. Thank you for that, Christoph. And we'll be look forward to reading more of your thoughts throughout the year as you write for NBR. Thank you very much.
You're most welcome.